Message for the people pleasers. People who cannot say no are constantly going to be in pain and distress because the thing that gives them the legal right to say no is non-existent in their lives. Vision. Many people haven't sat down and designed a vision for their destiny. When you don't have a vision, you give anything and anyone the legal right to control and manipulate you. Take time, define your expectations, define your vision, and your vision will give you the power to say no.
Here's an unpopular opinion. Staying silent in order to keep the peace is a form of people-pleasing. It also creates a false sense of peace that is dependent upon your self-sacrificing. It is you choosing to be quiet while you're suffering so that those around you are always pleased with you. Baby, keeping silent in order to keep the peace is you being violent towards yourself. Go ahead and self-advocate. You deserve to.
People pleasers have a lot of resentment, and let's see why. Let's work on overcoming people pleasing. Here's a person who has picked up an overgiving behaviour of people pleasing. This could come from childhood trauma or indeed modelling a parent who is also codependent or a people pleaser. And this is really boiling down to a lack of inner self-esteem. They don't really like and validate themselves from within. And so they've picked up a habit of overgiving to others, of pleasing others, of sacrificing their own needs. And they do this because they get an emotional experience of feeling lovable, liked, validated and good enough from outside of themselves. They feel safer this way. They tend to attract in abusers and takers, and they have a bunch of resentment. They have resentment because they're always looking at what's coming back. I've given all of this to you and there's only breadcrumbs coming back. They're not taking accountability for the fact that they are a people pleaser and they need to really work on that. This person over here has healed or is healing their people pleasing via aligning with give and take in their relationships. They are open to receive. They're open to receive support, love, encouragement, etc. This person is only open to give. Remember, the universe loves a cheerful giver and a cheerful receiver. This person has a higher self-esteem. They like and validate themselves, and they do not place anybody on a pedestal. They get an emotional experience of feeling loved, liked, validated and feeling good enough from within. They have absolute boundaries around takers and abusers, and their resentment towards themselves and others is low or none. Hope this video helps you guys. Check out all my self-study courses in the bio. Take care now.
I heard this the other day and it blew my mind away. Hey, if you're a people pleaser, tell me the people in your life who are pleased with you. Right?
Oh man, that seems like so obvious, but also just so, why did you have to ask me that question?
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Because you're a people pleaser
Yeah.
to people who are never going to be pleased. Stop pouring your whole self into other people. It's the reason why you end up in puddles on the floor. That's the meaning of it. It's so powerful. You're giving way too much of yourself. No one's holding you.
What made you become a people pleaser? You wired that way, or is that a trauma response?
For sure, trauma response. I had to go all the way back to where it started, and it started in my household. And it's rooted in wanting to be liked and not ruffling feathers and making sure that making everybody happy. You like me.
Yeah.
It's rooted in wanting to have validation and be liked.
I feel that. I have been, am, was, is a people pleaser.
Yeah, yeah.
All of those things. I can't tell if it's about being liked or trying to manipulate belonging.
Explain that.
So I cannot tell if I am doing it because I want people to like me or if I am so desperate for a sense of belonging that I manipulate myself or the situation in order to have a sense of belonging.
Wow.
I think sometimes what we're calling is I want to be liked is really I want to feel like I belong somewhere. And
That's
so
deep.
whatever music I need to listen to or not listen to, whatever actions I need to take or not need to take, I'm willing to do that because at the core, I'm looking for a sense of belonging.
recovering people pleasers get stuck in this victimhood stage, okay? It's right after the angry stage where you feel like, oh, I'm so mad at everybody who took advantage of me when I was a people pleaser. I'm so mad at people who created this habit in me and traumatized me as a child, my caregivers, you start pointing the finger and feeling like the victim. And I feel like a lot of people can get stuck in that victimhood because sometimes it feels good to be a victim. You feel so selfless, like, oh my God, I sacrificed my needs for you. I didn't tell you what I wanted and what was okay with me, and I did it for you. No, you did it for you. You did it for yourself, okay? You're actually manipulating people when you are a people pleaser. It's not the selfless act you think it is. And I know it's confusing because you're also a good person. A lot of people pleasers are good people. A lot of people pleasers don't have the intention to manipulate. They just want to protect themselves. They just want to make sure they get love and acceptance. So they go out their way to curate a version of themselves to people, or they neglect their wants and needs, and they lie about what's okay with them, and they think they're doing that out of a selfless act. But really the reason you're doing that is because you want something. You want acceptance and love, and you will do anything to get it. So instead of coming into the social situation with authenticity and hoping that, okay, I get the love and acceptance, and if I don't, then oh well, I hope they like me, and if they don't, then oh well. Instead of coming into there with like that, you're like, I'm gonna get it by any means, and I'm gonna lie, and I'm gonna pretend, and I'm gonna create a version of myself that I know you'll like. That's manipulation, okay? And so when you can see it in that light as well, and you don't glorify being the victim, which you are a victim in a certain stance. Like, I promise you, I see you, and I understand that, you know, you didn't just choose to be a people pleaser because you're trying to manipulate everybody out. You were traumatized, and you have created this protection for yourself. But now you have to break down the lens you see this protection. It is an illusion. You are not protecting yourself, number one. You are not protecting others. You are not being selfless. All the things that you thought you were doing with people pleasing, you have to understand that you're not doing those things. Okay, so when you can realize that I'm not actually being the selfless person, I'm actually being very selfish, I feel like then you will have a lot of motivation to change it. You have a lot of motivation to be deliberate and intentional with your change, with your growth. Okay, look at the shadow aspects of people pleasing to really, really motivate you to step into authenticity. Because if you get stuck in the victimhood, in the poor me, I sacrifice myself, my needs for you, I'm such a good person, I'm such a poor person, you know what I mean? If you get stuck in that energy, you'll get stuck in people pleasing. You'll get stuck with giving your power away. Take your power by understanding that you don't need to manipulate any situation and anybody. All you have to do is be yourself and be okay with whatever comes with that. That's powerful, and that's what you really want.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but maybe it's you. I became a recovering people pleaser when I realized that my fear of losing people was making me lose myself. That while I was busy being afraid of being rejected, busy being afraid of being abandoned, saying yes to things that I desperately wanted to say no to, doing things that were out of character for me because I wanted to feel like I belonged. In hindsight, I wasn't showing up as my most authentic self. I was losing myself in the game of keeping other people. And so if this is you, if you're somebody who deals with people pleasing or overextending or over-compromising, because deep down you are afraid of being abandoned, you're afraid of being alone, I want you to know that you can recover and you can heal. Mwah.
3 ways to start breaking the habit of people pleasing. Save this because it's going to take practice. Number 1, next time somebody asks you to do something that you don't want to do, say no. No excuses, no lies. Just a simple no thank you. Yes, it's going to feel super uncomfortable the first time you do it, but believe me, it gets easier. Number 2, accept that you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. It's not your life's mission to make everybody like you. If anything, it's better when people don't like you, because at least then you're being authentic. Number 3, prioritize your needs. No, it's not selfish. If anything, it's selfless, because it means that when you are kind to others, it's coming from a genuine place and not because you expect something back in return.
So what is the people pleaser like in dating? Well, I have some thoughts. let's talk about motivation first. So people pleasers are people who do not want to create discomfort, conflict, any sort of imbalance in somebody else. They don't want to create it in them, and they also don't want to see it continue if it's there. I have a nagging suspicion that people pleasers are the ones doing the most emotional labor, but I almost want to use the word absorption, like absorbing the emotions going on around everyone so that it pulls it out of that person. It's like, I can take it on internally, even though nobody's seeing that I'm doing that. And then you can go away feeling better, but I go away feeling worse. But that's preferable because I'm most discomforted and most in conflict when I'm seeing that you are. And so they're trying to take care of the discomfort they feel. And so when they step into the dating realm, the thing I notice most about a people pleaser is that they end up staying connected to a lot of people that are unaligned, for one. Like, they're actually not compatible with these people. And they end up in a lot of situationships that go nowhere. Like, a lot of connection, not a lot of seeing each other. One, because this is a cultural thing, and that's not their fault. Like, situationships, ghosting and coming back, this is cultural. It doesn't need to be internalized by anyone, let alone people pleasers. But people pleasers are the most likely to just continue to allow it to happen, where someone like a people manager is going to be really blunt about, like, this isn't what I want. I want us to do this. For their own reasons, we can talk about people managers in another video. And so because a people pleaser doesn't want to rock the boat, for a myriad of other reasons, right? Like, we want connection, we want passion, all those things. We just kind of keep people around, but then it puts us through a lot of emotions, these situationships. These are also people who I think their energy is like a roller coaster. And because one blind spot I notice for people pleasers when they date or even in their friendships is that they do a lot of things that other people want to do, because of course they want to please that person so that that person doesn't do something they want to do and feels discomfort or doesn't like doing that as much. The people pleaser can tell that, right? If your date doesn't really like what you're doing, you can tell that and you internalize that and make it your fault. Like, you made them discomforted because of your need or your preferences or what you wanted to do. And that's really intolerable. And so people pleasers need to realize that sometimes their highs and lows come from the fact that every time you do something that others want to do that don't meet needs for you, for one, like you might be ignoring physical needs or personal needs that need to happen on a date, but also simply doing what others want all the time pours out of you. And eventually you become empty of that energy to be doing things that you don't quite want to be doing. When that happens, people pleasers then push people away, and they don't do it verbally. They just ghost, because having that conversation would feel really so much harder, right? It's conflict. It's relational conflict, discussion, disagreement, working through something hard. And that's what people pleasers are avoiding. And so if I can say anything to a people pleaser who is on this energy roller coaster and has these lingering situationships and all of these things, it is to be in self-leadership. When people pleasers move from being led by others to being led by themselves, whew, powerful.